a video on Justification of Genocide and the US, and a few things more, and of course the UN. So in my video before last, I spoke about that it seems that Trump is actually, I can't prove it, I haven't seen his payroll, but somehow there's a Qatari influence on Trump's politics. And a lot of Americans claim that it's Vance. But Trump is the president. He doesn't have to listen to Vance. And so the infiltration. I spoke also about the investigation of Charles Small, about how Qatar spends his oil money for Jihad, and also the Islamisation of Israel and hunting Israelis down, also just putting money in media, Western institutions like the ICC, universities. That's the reason why Emiratis don't want their citizens to study in British universities anymore. But I've told them already, you also shouldn't let them study in the US, also in other European or in countries like France or whatever. So there's a very good documentary made by Vice Guard 24. It's a news channel, critical one. And they made a documentary on Qatar, the influence on Qatar. Qatar puts in the world for Jihad. It's about the Islamization. So it's not only that they finance directly the Islamization, so that Muslims move en masse into European countries or other Western countries, but it's also buying the media, also Wikipedia, making sure that Israeli and Jewish history is deleted also from universities. For example, I will post the link to the video. Wait a minute. Is it on? So, for example, Jewish history is deleted, right, from Jewish land. The problem is, I say that to Qataris, maybe you're not educated enough, and it works for stupid left-wing and Muslim people. But you can't delete the truth. It's impossible. So they found, for example, coins. They found a lot of archaeological proofs for Israeli history, and it's also proven in hieroglyph texts. We just have historical texts for the existence, as proofs for the existence of Jewish people and the history of Jewish people in the Middle East, in the land of Israel, because the people of Israel belong to the land of Israel and nobody else. People of Israel also, by the way, I just want to state it, are not only rabbinical Jews, but they are only Karaim and Shomronim. But this is another story. But for example, this example in the video I will link is they found coins with Hebrew inscriptions. Hebrew and Greek inscriptions from the Hashmonite period, the uprisings against the Seleucids. It was exactly 2nd century BCE, right? So long before any Muslims were invented. So the change and the inscriptions on the coins are of course in Hebrew and some are in Greek, because the Seleucids were Hellenized Syrians, not Arabs, Hellenized Syrians, so they wrote in Greek. So the uprising, this is our Hanukkah story, isn't it? That's why we celebrate Hanukkah, is against this, they were not Greeks but Seleucids, was because the Seleucids didn't allow the native population to practice their religion with death penalty. It was forbidden. So they said, okay, now it's enough, and that was the uprising of the Hashmoneans. It was a family of priests who organized a revolt, and they won. So now these coins are enlisted as Canaanite, which shows, of course, the complete how idiotic these people are, because Hebrew is a Canaanite language, but Greek is an Indo-European language. It can't be Canaanite. You can't erase Jewish history, the history of Am Yisrael, from the land of Israel. This is, by the way, if Europeans now say, oh, but does it concern me? It concerns you because they do the same with you. We talk here about replacement migration. Replacement migration, I had now an argument with Turks. I want to show you how Turks justify the genocide on the Kurds. I've known that for a long time because I've studied also with Aramaic people from eastern Turkey, and the Turks also committed a genocide on the Aramaic and the Armenians. And by the way, now this is now not allowed to mention anymore in the United States because Vance doesn't want to anger Erdogan. Erdogan also announced yesterday that the history of Christianity is genocidal, but the Turks, they offer now civilization and peace. I'm not sure if they do it deliberately or if they really believe it. I would quote. Wait, I found it. I quote now. His name is Erkan Baheshezi. I don't know Turkish, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He writes, PKK, so all Kurds are also PKK, all Kurds are terrorists. I don't know if you have visited yourself ever with the humanitarian situation in Turkey. I have done that since I'm 15 years old. I know that also from Aramaic people I studied with. So in Turkey, when you're not Turkish, like Aramaic or Armenian or Kurdish, you're not allowed to use your language. And you're not allowed to use like Aramaic names or Armenian names. You have to do everything in Turkish and give your children Turkish names. This is completely colonization, of course. It's the Islamization also. And so they still deny the genocide on the Armenians and the Aramaic people. And now they even, and when you speak with Turks, even if they're very open-minded and live in the West, they find justification for the genocide on Armenian and Aramaic people. They tell you then, even if they don't deny it, they say, yeah, but there was a reason they were in danger to the society. It's a lie. They were unarmed civilians that were just slaughtered off. And on their land, Turkey occupies Aramaic, Armenian, and Kurdish land, and in the west, they also occupy a Greek land. But of course, that's not the ideology. So what does this Erkan Baheshezi say? PKK Kurdish terrorists will martyr my soldiers and police officers. And you will use this as a justification. So you he meant me. Right? While you continue to write comments and deceive yourselves, we are moving from Syria to Iraq. We are freeing ourselves from PKK, which hangs over us like a dark cloud. We are on top of our work. keep wasting your time on Twitter. It's incredible, right? They are proud of committing a genocide on Kurds, and not even on their own territory, like in Syria. You're right, we moved there. We also do it in Turkey, in Syria, and in Iraq. We are proud of it. We free ourselves. You know what? This is exactly what the Nazis said about they freed the German race from the Jewish filth. This is early Nazi ideology and the justification of terror, of genocide, what of course these Palestinians, self-declared Palestinians, have done from the beginning. And even Hamas, will link it also. Hamas, it's on Memory TV, you can also watch it. They have a YouTube channel, Memory, they're really good. They translate interviews and everything into English, from Arabic into English, but also I think Persian, to show what is really going on. It's called Memory. Yeah. And so they translated the interview with a Hamas official. They said, no, we are not from there, from the Israeli territory. No, we immigrated. We are Egyptians and Saudis and Syrians and Jordanians. But still, they say, the Jews occupy their land, right? Also all these left-wing idiots. Wait a minute. I speak also now about the Islamic influence in the White House. This post was from Laura Loomer, who has warned the White House several times that they admit convicted terrorists to the Religious Liberty Commission. And if you watched my last video, the human rights version in Arabic, you know what it means. For the Muslims, there are no human rights. At least not for other people, because they're not humans. So she warned that the White House, Trump, that a convicted terrorist was appointed in Trump's commission, this Religious Liberty Commission. She warned already in May 2025. Nothing happened. And now 2 other jihadists were appointed. And now Palestinians from this Palestine House of Freedom attended this commission, and they met with the anti-Semite, is an American politician. Her name is Carrie Bragant. I saw photos of her with a Palestinian button. That means she is a Jihad supporter and she stands for genocide. Because, as I've pointed out many times, Palestine is a terror project to eliminate Israel, invented by the Arab League in their summit August 1960. So she's allowed to be an American politician. Now they're all together, and these Palestinians who are have their influence in the White House are called Bassem al-Tamimi and his cousin Ahlam al-Tamimi. Who is Ahlam al-Tamimi? It's a female name, by the way. Pay for slave, of course, by the from the PLO, financed by the European Union. The PA, read this now. The PA is still paying her $2,000 a month, and she orchestrated the terror attack in Sparrow in 2001 in Jerusalem. The whole family was wiped out. And exactly the family is Schrijfschroederen. It's a Dutch Israeli family. The parents, Mordechai and Tirza, what's her name, Schrijfschroederen, were murdered. The children 14, 4 and 2. Also. And also other people, by the way. A woman who was proud of it, that she murdered Jews. But you see, there are Turks who are proud to murder. There are Turks who are proud to murder Kurds, right? And this is the world we live in. So the influence of Jihad is also in the White House. And if you think the UN can sink even lower, yes, it's possible. Guterres, big Jihad fan and big fan of Arafat, congratulated yesterday and the Islamic regime who has already murdered around 100,000 Persians, only in this uprising now, for the revolution that brought them into power. And also the German president Steinmeier. Sometimes you really think it can't get lower and lower, right? And the slur now between the Emiratis and the Saudis, I mean, when you follow it on WhatsApp, it sounds senseless and stupid. The Saudis attack the Emiratis because they just also abuse the Epstein files, and the Epstein files. They bring that in and to prove that Emiratis have no moral. I mean, the Saudis have moral. They support Jihad. And also, like I pointed out, there were also Saudi people involved in Epstein and Qatari and Turkish. Yeah, even Erdogan. So, but why is that happening? So this slurs between Saudi Arabia and the UAE has a deeper meaning. I've criticized the UAE in many of my videos, but they are not the worst. They're actually people who try to explain or inform non-Muslim societies like European societies, American societies, about the danger of a jihad mindset, of radical Islam. And the Saudis now accuse and the Emiratis to spend millions of dollars on spreading Islamophobia in, for example, Europe. So they accuse them also of being Zionist whores, so a lot of anti-Semitism gets into it also in these slurs. The language is really vile. And so, of course, for the Emiratis, this is something new. We Jews are used to that. So we have a thick skin and a lot of sarcasm. But I told Emirati activists today that he should develop that because welcome to the club, right? But these things are also not based on facts. I mean, I don't want to talk about the Epstein fields, actually, except that it's proven now that Israel have warned. Netanyahu actually warned the Americans that children are trafficked into the United States, but also nothing happened. But the point is, there is a danger that there will be a war between the UAE and Saudi Arabia. So this is just a delegitimization of the UAE. So Mohammed bin Zayed, president of the United Arab Emirates, and also the emir of Abu Dhabi, in fact accused of being not a real Muslim, like all Emiratis are accused of that, that they actually work for the Israelis and to spread Islamophobia, which of course is a nonsense word, because a phobia is irrational fear, and Islamophobia is just an invention to say that you can't criticize Islam anymore. And so when you say right things about Islam, like me, then you're called Islamophobe. But this is, of course, complete nonsense. And this is what's going on. And so Dalia Ziada reported that there is a very great chance that there will be a war between Israel and Egypt. I hope not. And Egypt appointed a new minister for defense. So you see the Islamists are desperate. So it's really the last thrive. 2 days ago, the IDF arrested and blocked and arrested hundreds of terrorists trying to enter Israel from Samaria and Judea. And they planned the next 7th of October massacre, but just now from the east. Samaria and Judea is on the east side, and Gaza is on the west side. And the film was very long, many terrorists. So this is what's going on. I want to make it short, but it doesn't look good. And the Persians are slaughtered off. Khomeini, our open-minded puppet from fan of genocide and slaughtering, announced yesterday, or I saw it yesterday, that every Persian who says I'm not a Muslim will be executed. So that in fact means he wants to execute every Persian, because I've never met in my whole life a Persian who says that he is a Muslim, because they are not. This is occupation from the outside, because we all know neither Khomeini nor Khamenei are Persians, and the most people who work for this regime are not Persians. They occupy the land, like these self-proclaimed Palestinians occupy the land. But Hamas admits it, but nobody listens to them, right? And this is what's going on. So Iranians have corresponded now with a Korean guy who wants to help the Persians. He wants to help them to get into Israel. I think now I'm quite attacked on Facebook, because I said it's very unlikely that you will find anybody who does it, because Iran and Israel are enemies, and the passports they have are issued by the Iranian regime. So you can't enter Israel with an Iranian passport. Even if they want to, it's also not safe. Israel faces a seven-front war. If the Egyptians also jump on the truck, the war truck. By the way, Egypt signed a peace treaty with Israel. You don't feel anything about it, right? Yeah, it's actually, they're just wild. So this is the last attempts of the Islamists to destroy Israel. And the UN, the US, Europe, Russia, China are into it, because they all also try to keep the Iranian regime in power. And like I once wrote a month ago in an article, when the Iranian regime falls, and this is a must, then it changes the whole Middle East, but not only the Middle East, because Iran is one of the main financiers of international terrorism. And it weakens the Muslims. That means the Arabs. And it strengthens the non-Muslims in the Middle East, especially the Lebanese Christians, or Christians in general everywhere. It strengthens, it's not only for Israel, but also other minorities like the Yazidis, the Kurds, Kurds are Muslims, and so forth. But it has also a great impact on Europe and the Western world, and that's why the jihadists don't want it, and also the left-wing politicians don't want it. And it seems that the Trump administration is also infiltrated by people with this ideology, Jihad, Nazi combination. And it doesn't matter if you're blonde and a Nazi or if you are from Saudi Arabia and a Nazi. I don't care about it. So it's this is how it is. The result is, of course, when the Islamization, let's imagine the Islamization succeeds, and it looks like that also in the UK, also in Denmark, in Sweden. It means also your European history is deleted and removed and replaced with nonsense, like the Israeli history is removed from social media, but also from the internet. I mean, not from scientific books, of course, or from universities also like that. So you should think about it, even if you, for example, are an anti-Semite and you don't like Jews. You should think about if you want it for yourself, because Sharia law means you have no rights. And when you're a woman, every man can rape you, and also your children. I mean, this is what's going on. The British Parliament, by the way, yesterday decided not to fight child rape in the UK. This is a complete you just comply with Sharia law. This is, you destroy your countries. That's all I have to say. If you want it, just go on, right? Bye.